Hey everyone, I'm Rob and welcome to the test drive. Today, I'm reviewing the 2018 Mercedes-Benz C300. So the C300 that I'm driving today is actually a 2017 model year, and while there weren't very many changes from 2017 to 2018, there were a few. So in this video, I will go through all of the changes, and I think that a lot of people will find it useful, whether you're looking at a brand new 2018 C300 or maybe a certified pre-owned 2017. So the C300 has been Mercedes' entry-level sedan for a long time. It's been competing with the BMW 3 Series and the Audi A4 for a long number of years. Now that said, Audi did recently come out with the A3 lineup in the last couple of years, as Mercedes also came out with the CLA, both of which are a little bit smaller than this class of car, you know, the C-Class and 3 Series and A4. But that said, the C-Class is still what a lot of people look at when they're looking at getting into a Mercedes maybe for the first time. And obviously there's a lot of people that continue to buy the next new C-Class when it comes out. I have to say that this latest generation of the C-Class is undoubtedly the best C-Class ever. Now, while this video is going to focus on the C300, there are two additional C-Class variants that are above the C300, and that is the AMG C43 sedan and the AMG C63 sedan. Now, both of those are high-performance versions of this car, C43 having a twin-turbo V6 and C63 having a twin-turbo V8. So we're going to start with the exterior of this latest generation of the C300. I absolutely love the look of this car. I love that in the Mercedes lineup now, the C-Class, E-Class, and S-Class all look very similar. Obviously the E-Class being larger than the C-Class and the S-Class being larger than both of them. I love the front end of this C-Class. It is very aggressive, and it also looks modern. I mean, Mercedes sedans have always looked good, but I feel like in this latest generation, they really went after the more aggressive crowd, but still retains that luxurious, very sophisticated look. I love that you have the big Mercedes-Benz star right in the middle of the grille, and I'm actually surprised at how aggressive the fenders look on this C300. This is not an AMG model. This doesn't have like the AMG line or any of the body upgrades. This is just your base model, essentially C300, without a whole ton of additional packages, and it looks good. I also like the look from the side as well. It looks significantly longer than the previous generation C-Class did, and it looks like more of an executive style sedan. It just looks more luxurious. It looks bigger, and it is a little bit bigger than the previous generation C-Class. I also love the design of the lights on the front of the vehicle. I love the white daytime running lights as well as the turning indicators. They look so good. And then if you go to the back of the car, again, I love the design of the tail lights, the way that the lights are in terms of the shape, as well as the lamps themselves within the tail light. And then you also have dual exhaust built into the bumper, and that also is standard on the C-Class in this C300. So it's just, I really love the look of this. Now, getting to the interior of the C300, I've always loved Mercedes-Benz interiors, and I have to say that I really like the interior of this C-Class as well. It is extremely comfortable. It feels very luxurious. And the one that I'm driving just has the regular black MB text. I mean, you can get some upgraded seats, you can get upgraded trims, you can upgrade the steering wheel, but even everything that's in here standard is really nice. I love how aggressive this steering wheel is. with kind of a contrast in materials, especially in this center part, kind of at 9 and 3, where you would typically grab the wheel for performance driving. Really feels very nice. Everything in here, obviously, very high quality, soft touch surfaces all over the vehicle. I love the adjustments that come standard as well for the driver's and front passenger seat, but especially for the driver's seat. The fact that, yeah, you do have power forward and backward and up and down and everything, but you have power adjustments for the headrest. You have this extension here for the edge of the seat. You have, you know, obviously your power lumbar support. So there's a lot of adjustments there. Now you also do get heated seats standard in the C300. You can also get cooled seats in this car. I really love the look of the center stack here too. I originally wasn't sure how I liked this look of the iPad type of thing kind of being stuck onto the dash. But that said, I actually, getting into a C-Class now, I really like it. And there's certain things about it that are not as cool as what you have in the E-Class and the S-Class with that kind of giant screen that goes all the way across. But even this screen here, the way it is, looks really good. I imagine at some point the way that features kind of trickle down through the Mercedes-Benz models, that long screen will be available at some point, but maybe it won't. Maybe they'll just stick with this. The analog clock is also a very sophisticated touch to have here in the interior. I wish that a black headliner would have come standard in the C300. It doesn't, but that's okay. You can also get this really nice panoramic moonroof that I have in this C300, and I really like the fact that you have a bigger moonroof here for the front, and then you still have a small moonroof in the back. It doesn't open all the way, obviously, being this is a smaller sedan, but it still opens up so the driver and front passenger can enjoy the open air, and at least the back seat does have the visibility and everything too, and it really opens it up in here. I mean, I feel like there's people that shy away from the C-Class because of size, but you don't need to. I mean, there's a lot about this vehicle that Mercedes has done to just open it up and make it seem like a bigger vehicle and really utilize the space better. And in terms of space, I'm again surprised by how much space there is in this C-Class. The driver and front passenger have plenty of room. You have plenty of room in between the two. And then the back seat actually is not bad. I'm 6 feet tall. I was able to sit comfortably behind myself. And I was very surprised that my knees weren't pushing up against the seat back. I've driven the latest generation 3 Series as well as the A4, and I have to say the back seat of those feels a little bit tighter than it does in here. So I really like the way that Mercedes-Benz kind of utilized the space. And then you have a decent sized trunk as well. It doesn't feel like the slightly larger back seat infringes on the trunk space. You can still fit luggage and golf bags and whatever you would need to put in the trunk of just a regular sedan. Now, getting to the performance of the C300, one of the things that I love that Mercedes does, and BMW does this as well, when they name their vehicles and you have the different variants of a certain class or series of car, they do the naming based on what's under the hood. And I like that. I like that better than confusing trim names. Now, in the previous generation, the C300 offered a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6. Going into this latest generation, Mercedes changed that. They even changed it in the E-Class too. But the base engine now is a 2 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. When I first heard that, I wasn't really sure how I felt. Now, in this size of a vehicle, I would think it's fine. In the E-Class, it seems like a 4-cylinder is maybe not powerful enough, but that said, I'm actually very impressed with this turbocharged 4-cylinder, and it actually really is enough for at least the C-Class. This engine puts out 241 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque, and that's pretty good. I mean, it's less horsepower than before, but it is more torque, and actually, this car is pretty quick. It does 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds, which is no slouch, and especially for somebody whose maybe primary concern isn't performance, this offers a really nice package because it can perform very adequately in normal driving, and it's also very fun to drive. That 273 pound-feet of torque is available at an RPM as low as 1,300. So it's a range of 1,300 to 4,000 that you have that full 273 pound-feet of torque. And that makes a huge difference because that torque is available almost instantly. Now, one of the changes from 2017 to 2018 was the fact that the 2017 C300 had a 7-speed automatic transmission, and the 2018 actually has a 9-speed automatic. 9-speed automatic obviously allows you to get a little bit better fuel economy, but I was still very impressed with the fuel economy that I got in the C300 that I'm driving in the 2017 with the 7-speed. I was averaging on a long trip, driving about 80 miles an hour the entire time. I was getting over 32 miles to the gallon, so I was very impressed with that. And the fuel tank is also a decent size as well for such a small car, and it allowed me to drive a very significant distance, over 500 miles, before I actually had to put gas in this thing. So I was really happy about that. The C300 also handles very well too. For being not a performance sedan, it really does handle well. It really grips the road, and you don't get a ton of body roll. And the standard tires that are on this are 225s in width. They're 17-inch rims. There's nothing really performance-like about them. Even with the narrower tires, it still handles well. You get a little bit of tire screeching, I guess, if you really try to push this thing too fast around a tight corner, but it still grips the road. I love the feel of the steering wheel too when you're going around turn. You also do get paddles to interact with the 7-speed automatic, and the shifts are pretty quick. I mean, they're not as quick as they could be. They're not quite instant, but they're almost there. It's also surprising that 273 pound-feet of torque actually does put you back in your seat a little bit. Now, in the C300, you do get several driving modes as well. Eco, which, as you might imagine, it kind of makes the throttle less responsive. It really just makes the vehicle drive more economically. You really have to floor it if you want to get any type of performance driving to happen. You do have Comfort, which is your normal everyday driving mode. I, for the most part, drove this car in Comfort, but that said, you do have Sport and Sport Plus. Both of them actually hold the gears longer. They do make the throttle more responsive. Obviously, Sport Plus is a little bit more aggressive than Sport. It also makes the steering tighter. Now, if you get an AMG model, then you'll get additional enhancements with the suspension and some other adjustments. You also have an individual mode where you can pick your own options. Now, again, there aren't a ton of options to pick, but you can pick like the throttle response and make it hold the gears longer, and you can also stiffen up the steering. And then you can also pick what you want for the transmission. So when you put it into individual, I made it go into manual mode so that, you know, I can just use the paddles if I want to put it into individual and just, you know, kind of drive the way that I want it. Now, getting to the technology in the C300, there are so many different options that you can get across all levels of the C-Class. Now, right out of the box, at a base model of the C300, you do get this command infotainment screen here, and it does have a decent amount of functionality. Now, you don't get navigation standard, but you have a couple different options to pick from for your navigation. Number one, you can get the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration. That's extremely inexpensive, and that gives you navigation from your phone projected onto the screen. Now, if you want navigation in the infotainment system without using your phone, you have two different options, because there is a Garmin system that you can add that is also relatively inexpensive, and then you have the actual Mercedes-Benz command navigation system that you can get integrated into the screen instead. So you do have a couple options there, and I like that, actually. I also really like the screen in between the tachometer and the speedometer. It is a very big screen and gives you a nice amount of vehicle information. I also really love the Burmester surround sound option that you can get in the C300. It's not very expensive. It's not even $1,000, and it is such a nice system. So I would highly recommend getting that if you do care about sound. You can also get quite a bit of safety technology in here. I mean, you can quite inexpensively add blind spot monitoring, which the C300 that I'm driving has. And then you can also add a higher end safety package that includes Distronic Plus, and, you know, gives you a lot of that enhanced safety and kind of self-driving type of technology. The ride in this car is so soft as well, and it makes it a really nice car to drive on a long trip. So comfortable, and, you know, regardless of what you're driving on, whether it's a windy back road or just a long freeway with construction. I mean, it's still a comfortable ride either way, and that's what you'd expect from a Mercedes-Benz sedan, especially one that isn't set up for performance. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the 2018 Mercedes-Benz C300. I'm Rob. This is the test drive. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to my channel. It does help me make more videos, and it also makes you eligible to win a lot of the giveaways that we have going on. So again, thanks for taking this test drive with me, and I'll talk to you soon.